Alrighty. So, I haven't looked at the new monster, but the new monster is out, and it's the Water Spirit Crest. That's what the spawn says. So I figured I would go over it and show you kind of my first reactions. Also, side note, feel free to add me on um, either Discord and send me a message there, or you can message me in game. We are currently looking for players who are active and willing to buy $1 a day alliance tickets when the time comes. So usually the alliance tickets last for around a week. So a total of $7 and be 3 out of 3 and stuff like that. I'll post in Discord as well. But we are looking if you're interested in joining. So it looks like we have. Wow, she has fucking massive titties. What the fuck is that? It is a step up spawn. I always love those. I love step up spawns more than I love the treasure box spawns most of the time because you're guaranteed monsters, which is really, really nice. Usually these are around 700 gems. I haven't done the math. We can do it really fast though. Let's see, it's 15, 45, 85, plus 100. So 185. Ooh, that's actually really cheap. 185 is on the low end. Usually these are over 200, so that's really nice. You're guaranteed 200 plus like 300 and some change. So probably like 300. We can call it like 500. 300, 500, 700. Okay, so 700 total. And then 3,000. Yeah, you'd have to run it what, 4 times? Around 4 times. At 200 times 4. Yeah, it's about. It's a little bit. It's going to be a little bit less than 800 most likely, but it's going to be around 800 gems. So just keep that in mind. This is the animation. Ooh, the animation's nice too. Isador. She removes all. Oh, she karmas, removes buffs, magical damage, only hits 3 times for no piercing, but 600 ability powers. Yeah, she's not going to kill anything in something like PvP or guild battles. But she does strip before she does damage. That's pretty rare, and she double strips too. So if they have resistance, that's really nice. All enemies reduces all stats by 80% and enemies debuff removal resistance once. Ooh, that's nice. Yourself applies the Water Spirit's Crest. Yourself applies Skirmish. Skirmish is not a great bubble, but it's okay for some PvP, especially if you're doing, PvE. Especially if you're like PvEing alone. Skirmish can be nice because it can help you uni faster. The Water Spirit's Crest is like all of the others. If you don't know, it'll just give you more damage against fire. And it's mostly a solo buff, so it's kind of interesting. 40k. Ooh, that's bad. Dawn is pretty solid. Scorching resistance, blind, and prohibit resistance. This is actually really good. But scorching resistance is bad. We're also missing water. Usually these have like water defense or something like that. There's no uni defense for the backline 5 monsters. Even if you're using this for PvP or PvE, you're missing out on it. So just keep that in mind. So for something like PvE, this is currently the only way to get top tier like runs of really, really difficult fire events. I mean, I'm sure that more fire events will come out in the future. This is the only water crest that's out right now. And if we go like historically, they release the Spirit's Crest pretty intermittently. So I would recommend grabbing this guy if you're into PvE, especially late game PvE. It'll be really useful at some point. And just in general, I mean, like 200 gems, a little bit less than 200 gems, like 185 in order to get a fully, in order to get a full high level PvE monster. I mean, pretty much anyone can spend 185 to get one of these monsters. So that's nice. When it comes to the actual awakening stuff, when it comes to, because there's no competition right now, this PvE monster is a 10 out of 10. We'll have to see what other Water Spirits Crest come out in the future, but generally they'll probably be better than this. It is a really unique monster though, so for something like PvP, you could even use this monster. You would never want to solo throw this monster. There's no uni buffing, and there's no uni chain potential. This is purely a clash monster. So in something like guild battles or in something like PvP, in Coliseum, something like that, you would want to use this monster basically exclusively for clashes. So don't think about this as like you're racing to get this monster or anything like that. It's just a clash monster. There are a few reasons why you would want to use this type of monster. The first reason is to take away the enemy's crest. There can only be one crest on the field, so it can be really beneficial to take away the enemy's crest. There's also a really unique monster. There are not a lot of monsters. They have done monsters similar to this in the past, but this is a super, super niche monster. The idea behind it is that if they threw a bunch of priority monsters to give themselves buff, you can throw this monster. She should full strip the enemies, apply an 80% debuff to them, and then they will be easier to kill, especially if you add Nebulous Eclipse on top of that and, damage and other things. It should make the enemies easier to kill. So in many aspects, I really like this. The fact that it's water too also boosts this quite a bit. It makes it so that Pandora has a little bit more of a counter. And I think people actually may use this in PvP and in guild battles. We'll have to see, especially the clashes. There are some exceptions though. For example, some buffs have permanent protection from getting stripped. So I think like Blessing, I'm trying to think if I have any monsters right off the top of my head that I can remember that have Blessing. But I think there are some debuffs or some buffs that can be applied. This one applies Grace, which nullifies debuffs right there. So it doesn't really matter, the 80% won't land, but you can strip them. So there are some things like this. I thought I saw one of my monsters that had Blessing. I wish I had like a full arsenal of, maybe this monster that I got has Blessing. Yeah, Blessing. Let's read it more carefully. Okay, no, so it's basically like Grace, right? So there are debuffs, and there are I believe there's also another type of buff similar to Grace that makes it so that you can't be stripped. Maybe that's false. I'm trying to think. But if Blessing doesn't have it and Grace doesn't have it, then you could probably strip almost anything. So yeah, maybe I am wrong. I just, there are so many buffs in this game, I can't keep track of them all. But just to be aware that there are priority monsters that you could throw this monster against, and it won't do much. Let's talk about the rest of this monster. PvP and guild battle wise, in a clash, that the monster that I'm referring to is probably close to a 10 out of 10. It kind of depends. You really need to build around the monster, but it's a pretty safe monster for throwing into clashes. It basically should, as long as you're throwing it first, it should strip. We'll have to see again. Hopefully, somebody in the comments, please let me know if you can remember a specific buff that can be applied that prevents getting stripped. But yeah, it's a very interesting monster. I think it does have a place in PvP. I'm hesitant to give it a full 10 out of 10. So because it doesn't have a ton of buffs and you need other setups, I'm assuming that you're using it wisely in a clash. For something like PvP, where buffs are constantly getting applied, it's going to be a little bit worse. But I would still say taking the crest is really solid. And if you throw it last, it can be really impactful to strip the enemies and then, apply that minus 80%. So overall, this monster is pretty solid for PvP as well. But the fact that the crest only applies to yourself is kind of annoying, and hoping that you don't get hit by things because it doesn't have a lot of defense. We are missing a little bit of it. Protections from the elements. So overall, I do like this monster quite a bit. But just be aware, it does have its flaws. So I would say this is, for PvP specifically, this is probably a 7 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10. Just be aware. It's an 8 out of 10 if you can throw it last. So, yep. And then for for guild battles, for clashes specifically, you would want to throw it first, usually to strip their that priority monster buffs. So just be aware as well. And this monster would also be better if it was applied an enemy field as opposed to applying a crest. However, there are some priority monsters that throw defensive crests, like this guy. He's a priority monster that throws a crest. So being able to snatch the crest on the first monster and strip and debuff them is quite a powerful effect. So don't underestimate that. It is still unique. It is still good. But I personally think that the buffs that they're getting from their field are going to be more impactful for maximum damage than stealing crest. There are other monsters that do pretty massive damage that you can use, especially water monsters that also lock down the enemies. But this is a pretty solid monster. It is a pretty solid monster. You could probably use this to great effect. So I would say if you have an excellent lineup, if you're throwing double Pandora plus this monster and, like a field and then a priority monster or something like that, this could be quite effective. So as long as you have a really solid lineup, this can be a 9 out of 10 monster in clashes. So it is a pretty accessible as well. But keep in mind again that you'll need a full team to back you up in order to maximize this monster. All right, let's look at the weapons. It's the rush gear, maxes out at 6XL, and you have to use the specific weapon type up to 3 and an XL proc rate. 10 cost, restores HP, and increases critical chance. The increases critical chance, garbage. You're basically only guaranteed the cost and the restores. And because this weapon is super weak, 6XL is weak. We're missing ability success value up. We're missing just pure percent damage up, and in the form of like the S plus. We're missing quite a bit, actually. This is And I really don't like the axe specific because some people can find it difficult to find axes or scythes in many instances in order to maximally, especially for new players. So I really don't like that. I would want to see it as water. But it is what it is. It's a really, really good early proc. Keeps you alive, gives you cost, gives you increased crit chance. However, this is a proc you're getting rid of like first. It's weak. Very, very weak. So just be aware of that. For free to play players and for newer players, I'd say it's a solid 6 out of 10. For late game players, this is like a 3 or a 4 out of 10. For everything, PvE, PvP, guild battles, this is like a proc you want to get rid of quickly. So it's not beneficial for anything really. All right, let's look at the duty to defend. Okay, this is good. This is really good. Especially for new players, you need to have 2 of these. Now, I get questions about these. These opening defenses, you can stack them, and you can stack them up to 2. These are really valuable. The concentration increases your chance to defensively proc, and the HP is a nice barrier to help you survive the first 30 seconds of battle, or if you get it to level 7, it should give you a little bit more time. The reflects physical and magical damage as well. If you double stack this, it would be 40%. So a single one gives you 20%, the second one gives you 40%. That's really, really beneficial. Don't underestimate a 40% protection right off the bat, plus an increased chance of defensively proccing. I mean, these are top tier for everything. You should have these in for every single quest in the game. There's no reason to not have these. So for PvE, for PvP, for guild battles, no matter what your role is, I always recommend this type of gear. You never know in guild battles. You could argue, okay, I don't need it. But you never know in guild battles, even if you're backline, somebody may die. You may be the only one who's on, and you're going to be the one who swaps in. You don't want to be the guy who swaps in at 5 seconds because your teammate got popped, and you immediately get turned on and blown up. So I always recommend these. They basically never are bad. They are 10 out of 10 required for basically everything. These are top tier defensive items as of right now. They will eventually get outclassed, but usually a team is really slow about releasing more unique types of opening gear. So you'll have to give it a solid 3 years probably before they make a new opening gear. They've been releasing a lot of these though, so just be aware. It's not super unique. If you already have 2 of them, you should be good. But yeah, and that's pretty much everything. I do think that this is a really good early game spawn for new players specifically. Can really benefit from the monster. It's a nice monster. It'll help you carry some things. You can use it in quite a few places. It's pretty cheap. If you're only running it once, it's pretty cheap. Let's see if it guarantees a defensive. Yeah, it guarantees one of the defensive gears. And it's pretty early on too. So you could run this once and then just get up to the defensive gear again as a new player. I mean, that's probably what I would do. And I would probably just stop spawning after that. But I'm not gonna, everyone's different. There's not a lot of reason to not spawn this though. I mean, it's a pretty unique monster. Whether or not she gets used in his meta is kind of irrelevant. Do not underestimate 80% debuff. I mean, this has been good since the dawn of time. Back when this game first came out, minus 80%. I don't even think I have this monster. Minus 80% was on this one. Lilith, you would throw like double Liliths, and you basically do no damage, and you took maximum damage. It was really, really oppressive. Even now, it's still really good. So, yeah, that is pretty much everything. I will catch you guys later.